Over my 20-year career in aerospace, defense, automotive, electronics, battery, fabrication, and advanced manufacturing, I've noticed something that almost every American manufacturer has in common. They depend on overcoming daily emergencies on the production floor to meet their numbers. And the most concerning part is that leadership often has no idea what is actually costing them. Here's what I've seen happen when there's a production emergency. The line stops, so the supervisor abandons their priorities and deviates from the standard process and schedule. Then managers get pulled in, and engineers have to drop everything to help troubleshoot. So then scheduled meetings are canceled or postponed because everyone's out on the floor scrambling to get the line up and running again. Normal project activity is disrupted, and improvement projects get moved to the back burner. And as the processes are bypassed, the documentation doesn't get updated right away, so then there's a gap that often gets forgotten until it ends up as an audit finding. Because as soon as the line is running good enough to get that day's production out the door, everyone goes back to their normal daily activities that were dropped and are now struggling to catch up because the emergency, by its nature, was unplanned. And there's no accounting for it in the schedule. So all of these other tasks are behind, late, rushed through, or abandoned altogether. We call this firefighting. But let's be honest for a moment, through all this tremendous effort, no lives were saved. Yet we've given it the same level of urgency, stress, and importance as if they were. In my experience, this pattern exists across organizations of all sizes, from small manufacturers to some of the largest and most respected names in American industry. It's so inefficient, and the real cost of it is invisible to upper leadership. There's so much unscheduled time wasted during firefighting, an enormous risk of mistakes. Because instead of following the process, everyone is really just winging it to patch up the issue as quickly as possible to get the line up and running again and get product to the customers on time. At the end of the day, there's usually no follow-through, follow-up, or preventative actions taken because as soon as the line is moving again, everyone runs back to their normal daily activities that were dropped to fight the fire, and now all of those things are behind and rushed, and mistakes are made or steps are forgotten in the fuzzy haste of it all. Daily firefighting costs so much more than what is typically tracked by finance, as far as scrap rates, defect rates, and on-time delivery. And because these costs are not often quantified in the same way, their true weight, which is painfully obvious to those on the manufacturing floor, is essentially invisible to upper leadership, including untold number of process deviations, which lead to mistakes and audit findings, lost productivity because when processes are deviated, the takt time is not met and steps are missed. The occurrence of rework skyrockets, project schedules are delayed, and milestones are missed. Not only that, the production supervisor is playing musical chairs on the line since everything is out of order, which throws off the rhythm of production. Products may be lost or misplaced, or the wrong components are assembled. It's incredibly stressful every day dealing with the emergencies instead of the normal balanced schedule. And that fatigue is felt by the operators, supervisors, and manufacturing engineers the most. American manufacturing employees and supervisors are quick to jump in with heroic efforts to save the day. It's a fundamental part of the American culture, and they are praised for it. But frequent individual heroics leads to burnout and unnecessary levels of stress. Mistakes and defects occur at rates that are often not even accurately captured because they are happening outside the official documented processes. Poor documentation is the result of temporary deviations that become permanent without the follow-through to update the official records and work instructions. In addition, information silos occur when departments, production cells, and even individuals guard information and concentrate very narrowly on their output instead of aligning with the company goals as a whole. Because the simple fact is, solved emergencies and individual heroics receive praise, but prevention of problems goes unnoticed and is sometimes even penalized. Leadership loses the trust of the workforce when their messages, goals, and mission statements differ from what is actually allowed and tolerated daily. Employees stop speaking up about problems or potential improvements when they are ignored or their concerns are shelved for a later time when the emergencies have died down that never seems to come. I've personally seen situations, production issues that should have taken 30 minutes to resolve, consumed an entire day across multiple departments. And by the end of the day, leadership celebrated because we hit our numbers, but no one stopped to ask what that one emergency actually costs us. Let's say 10 people spend 2 hours fighting an emergency. Leadership sees 20 labor hours, but that's not including the opportunity costs. The improvement project that wasn't completed, the customer call that didn't happen, the work instructions that weren't updated, the preventive action that wasn't implemented, employees who went home exhausted and dread coming in the next morning, the supervisor who missed time coaching and motivating their team. That's the opportunity cost of chaos. Leadership sees the monthly numbers, sees their metrics being met, but what they don't see is the hundreds of tiny compromises made every day to achieve them, and the risk and the opportunity costs of allowing this to happen. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The culture of your organization is not your mission statement. It's not the poster hanging in your lobby, and it's not your core values printed on a coffee mug. Your culture is whatever leadership consistently tolerates. If your company depends on overcoming daily emergencies, as I've described here, the chaos and instability of firefighting is your culture. And eventually your people stop believing what leadership says because it doesn't line up with their different reality that they're living every single day. But here's the good news. This isn't a talent problem. This isn't happening because your employees don't care or managers aren't trying. In fact, they're giving it their all. So much so that it's causing stress that even carries through into their personal lives. It's not a work ethic problem. And this isn't happening because your upper leadership are bad people. They've carefully crafted their strategic plans and take into account things like employee morale and retention, along with the normal performance metrics. What this is a leadership alignment problem, which means it can be fixed, and that is what I find so exciting. American manufacturing is at a tipping point right now, and you and I have the power to choose the path where manufacturing emergencies are, where people follow processes because they make sense and they work, where leaders understand the true opportunity cost of chaos. So they prioritize and resource problem solving all the way through to permanent corrective action and read across to other similar products and processes as prevention, where teams win together instead of celebrating individual heroics. That's what this movement is about. And every week, I'm going to show up and show you how to get there. We've normalized chaos for so long that we've mistaken it for operational excellence. I don't believe that's the best we can do. And if you don't either, join me.